So welcome everyone to our second Lunch and Learn, still starring Doug Richards, who runs our Canberra office. Doug is an interesting case in that from his previous life, they did use different types of chat and AI in the telephony. So that doesn't make him an expert. I won't put that type of burden on him, but possibly did give him a little bit more curiosity when it comes to ChatGPT. So, Doug, I'm going to throw it over to you because you're the man with the interesting case studies. So, thanks for taking a look at this for us and for sharing.
Thanks, Victoria. And while I get my slides up, I'll just reiterate that point that I'm not a ChatGPT expert, but like probably most of you on this call, I've used it and I'm trying to come to terms with what it is, what it can do. I've read about it, I've watched YouTube videos about it, and I hope you've all been doing the same. My background, as Victoria says, I have got some experience with chatbots when I worked at Avaya in the customer service space. Chatbots are, not really a new thing, but ChatGPT and what it's capable of is significantly new and is a step up in capability that certainly I've ever seen. So thanks for joining. We've got a short 30 minutes. I'm just going to take you through a quick overview for those who don't know what ChatGPT is. I'll just do a quick intro to help you with background. Then I'm just going to do the standard warning on ChatGPT, just so you're aware that it has limitations and there are some issues with it, and it's important to be aware of that when you're using it and when you're talking about it. And then we'll do a live demo, and I will give you some examples of the ways that people are using it out there. I've picked kind of 3 or 4 main capability areas. That's obviously not the limit of what it can do. It's it's almost unlimited in what it's capable of. And then I'll leave some time at the end because I'd love to hear from you, comments, stories of your own experiences using it, maybe some use cases that you found that were helpful. So what is ChatGPT? Well, the GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So it's created by a private company called OpenAI, and you can go to their website at openai.com. And it is basically, very simply, a very advanced artificial intelligence chatbot. And the way you interact with it is very conversational through a chat window, through text. And you can engage in a conversation with it using prompts. So you can ask it an initial question to do something, and then you can refine that and ask it to do different things. I think one of the really big breakthroughs with ChatGPT is how easy it is to use. And you'll see that in the demo if you've never used it before. You really don't need to have any skills whatsoever in order to start using it and getting benefit from it, which is quite different from artificial intelligence capability in the past, which has tended to be in the back office behind the scenes. We've never really been given a really simple interface to interact with a system this powerful. It's trained on a massive data set that it's scraped off the internet. So it's literally just, they have pointed it with a set of tools at the internet, and it's taken books, articles, posts, some estimates I've heard of over 300 billion words it's processed within this enormous data set. It did stop. It goes up until 2021 in terms of the data set, and they've now, after they trained it, they disconnected it from the internet. So when you're interacting with it, it's not just going out on the internet, it's using the data set that it was trained on based on internet data up till 2021. It is, the word viral is used a lot these days, but it genuinely is. This is the fastest growing app of all time, according to research done by UBS Bank and Yahoo Finance. So it reached, from being released in beta format to the public, it reached 1 million users, active users, within the first 5 days, which is considerably faster than any other previous application. And it reached 100 million active users within in less than 2 months, which, you know, the next fastest was TikTok, which took 9 months to reach 100 million users. So there's no doubt about it. It is a groundbreaking viral capability that the world, not just you and me, the whole industry, tech companies are all coming to terms with this step change that's happened, and this is the catalyst application that's done it. Now, ChatGPT isn't the only text-based conversational AI like this in the market. There are others, but this is the one that is the most viral and the most used. So Google, you may have seen that Google have responded quickly, and they're a bit worried about ChatGPT, so they've responded with their own called Bard, which I haven't used. And Microsoft have partnered with ChatGPT to embed its capability into Bing and seemingly into applications across the board going forward. So how do you know, what's it used for? Well, I've heard many people try to describe ChatGPT and what it's capable of. The honest answer is it just does so many different things. It really depends what industry you're in, whether you're, you know, a creative type looking to write scripts, poems, whether you're an artist trying to look for ways to create text that describes what you're trying to do and then turning that into images, whether you're a coder writing code, whether you're someone who writes resumes or tenders, whether you're in the education academic space where ChatGPT has been writing academic articles and famously people's essays for them. There are now also AI tools that can detect whether or not you've used ChatGPT or a similar AI chatbot to generate text. I don't know how accurate they are, but that's out there as well, because the academic industry is very worried about this capability. Yeah, and it can be used for everything else. It's sort of, so I think of ChatGPT as almost like within it is a whole app store of capability that everyone, including us, are trying to work out how to leverage in our daily lives and in the workplace. So this session is really just about having that conversation about it, showing you what it is if you've never seen it before, but also for us just to talk about it. You know, I'm really interested to hear how everyone else who has used it have found it and what sort of things they think it could be very useful for, especially in our industry. So, disclaimer, warning, danger, Will Robinson. So I think the question, is ChatGPT safe, is still being answered. And this is a multi-layered answer. So I think in the standard way that you can use it, as long as you're not putting sensitive data into there, I think you can consider it safe. And certainly in the way that I'm going to show you today. But understand and be cautious, because I encourage you, if you're going to use it or if you have been using it, to read the OpenAI privacy policy, which the link is there. There are major privacy and copyright issue concerns that are live issues right now. You know, OpenAI is a private company, and they have scraped and built this massive data set on publicly available information, but really they haven't asked for permission to do that. And although it's free now, at some stage it will be monetized. It costs money every time we type in a chat in the window. It's using a huge cloud infrastructure platform to generate the responses. So there is a cost to it, and that cost will want to be paid for by OpenAI at some stage. But yeah, there are lots of privacy issues because of who owns the data, copyright issues of it's not citing its sources. So, for instance, if you asked it to print out the first paragraph of a book, it'll give you that first paragraph, and people may use that incorrectly. It seemingly, allegedly, may not be compliant with all sorts of global data regulation laws and acts. So, for instance, things like, although public information is publicly available, that it's used to build this massive data set, there are things in the legal world like textual integrity. So you posted something up on the internet, but you have a right that stays within its textual construct, that it doesn't get misused for something else you didn't approve, consent to. So things like that. It may generate incorrect information, and the thing about it is that it's so confident that it's very confidently going to tell you something. So you might believe it when it's completely inaccurate and it's misinformation or disinformation. It also, because it's trained on a massive data set of human content, it can return bad instructions and content. And obviously it's laced with the biases that we all have, and that is all out there with the information that's on the internet that it's used to train it. So OpenAI have a whole section about how they want to build an inclusive and safe AI tool that benefits all of humanity. So you can read through that. But I would say that just be cautious using it. Don't put any sensitive information, understand its privacy policy, and stay across the issues, because there will be issues going forward with this platform. So it's really easy to sign up if you haven't before. You just go to openai.com, and there's a splash page for try ChatGPT, and all you have to give over is an email address. That's it. And once you give them your email address and set up a password, you're in to this section, and it is literally just an input screen. So if I jump out of the presentation, I'm hoping you can all see that. That's this is the live ChatGPT screen, and down the bottom here just has an input window, and you just talk to it. So let me give you some writing examples. Explain what an automation tester does in one paragraph. And you just prompt it, and it will come back with very readable, often mostly very useful information. And then you can just keep the conversation going. It remembers what you've done previously up to a point. List key skills required for an automation tester. Programming skills, testing concepts and methodologies, test automation tools. It's pretty good. I find that everything that it gives is always pretty good and a good starting point for anything. Now, if you tried to do this through Google, for instance, you just get a whole bunch of links, and you'd have to go and find out all this information from lots of different places. It would take a long time. List relevant certifications for automation testers. It's listed out all the usual certifications that people in the space look at. That's pretty useful. How about now if I say, list the certification and include a link to course for it. So here I've just asked it to link out the certifications and then give me list the certifications and then give me a link to a course to go and sign up to that certification. That already is showing you just some of the power of its ability to aggregate and pull information. So you can start off with a really simple thing that you want to do, and then you can just keep overlaying on top of that. Another one here I like to use is the SFIA framework. What is the SFIA framework in one paragraph? This is the skills framework used in IT to like try and standardize skills and roles within the industry. Try again and explain as if I am 5 years old. This is one of the really good capabilities of ChatGPT is you can ask it to redo something in a different style. So it's greatly simplified the English and the language there. List SFIA levels. So you could do lists, you could do tables, you can ask it to create all kinds of, compose almost any kind of text and then modify it, amend it, change it, re-represent it in a different way. Let's say try again, but only use one word to describe each level. Amazing. I imagine trying to find out that information through links from a Google search. Another way that it's often used is with coding. I'm not a coder myself, but here I just use this example: create a Python program that converts numbers to Roman numerals. So it can create code, it can debug code, it can convert code between languages, it can explain code. So you can actually ask it, dump a bit of code in there and say, can you just explain what this code is doing? And you can say things like, if you were to write this code, how would you do it? Can you criticize this code and change it in this way? You really can just talk to it in that fashion. So for instance, I've got the Python code there and I could copy that code and use it as a start point. Let's say convert to VBA script. You could just instantly convert it between different languages. So there's a lot in the coding space. And if you are a coder yourself, I'm sure you would have used some of its coding capability. But the potential here is that you really could start to use this capability, even if you're not a coder. That's one of the big potentials here as well. It kind of is breaking down a lot of these barriers for different skill sets. I don't think it's going to replace coders completely at this stage. But it's definitely a great co-pilot for coders to use. Another big one is things like education. I think learning. So in terms of your learning, if I said, what do I need to learn Python? So it's suggesting some topics that I need to learn here in order to understand Python, learn how to do Python. So that's helpful. And it's even suggested some popular places, platforms for learning Python. Let me say if I say create a roadmap to learn Python with weekly tasks and include YouTube videos. So I'm trying to create a learning plan here. Now, you could obviously do this for almost anything. Okay, I'm just going to stop that. So it didn't give me links. I'm just going to copy that and do it again. Say YouTube links. At that. So it's giving me a weekly roadmap to learn Python. The example of what's the base, what's the different thing that I could focus on each week, and some example YouTube videos. Never seen anything like that before. That is incredible. Now imagine for anything you wanted to learn, being able to just create this from scratch. I think, educational institutions and online learning places are going to be quite worried about this kind of capability. All right, I just want to, we're sort of running low on time now. There are other ways, of course, you don't have to use it for work. Give me some ideas for themes for the 21st birthday party. My son will be turning 21 soon, so if he used ChatGPT. Casino night, beach bash, I like it. Hollywood glam. Excellent. There you go. So that is a really, really short sort of skip across the top of ChatGPT. I hope you found it useful and informative. I really wanted to leave some time at the end for us to just have any questions, or just open it up to the floor and see what people think and how they're using it themselves.
Yeah, let's try and get some questions and some, just any type of response that people have been using for it themselves. I know for me, exactly what you said, Doug. I go to Google and you end up with tons of things in the search. But when I went out to GPT, it was very direct, and the answers were correct for everything I asked it. I don't think anyone will think that I'm a coder, but I actually, where it kind of fell down for me a little bit is I was trying to get some HTML going, and it was good, but it wasn't exact. So in the end, you still had to know exactly what you were doing and what you wanted to get it where you needed it to be. So that wasn't specifically there, but the search was great. And I was just doing listening to a podcast on Microsoft and Bing and how they're incorporating this in. And I think that's going to be very interesting, because I don't think any of us are big Bing lovers. So yeah, that might, because compared to what I was getting from Google, it was better. So that could be a game changer. So that's super interesting. Does anyone have any questions or want to get in on the conversation? I see David's typing away.
Yeah, it's so broad, the capability, and I think there are all sorts of new companies that will come out that will use ChatGPT as the basis of what they deliver as a product or service. But it's I was looking at the everyday use there. It's just ways that people are already using it and getting benefit from it. You can just see that it's going to get embedded everywhere.
David, I'm going to put your mic on if you want to ask a question.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. I've got a friend, I was just saying in the chat there, that who uses DALL-E, and DALL-E is built on the top of ChatGPT, and you can give it text like, paint me a skyline in the style of Frederick McCubbin with crayon, and it will generate all these images for you. He then takes those images he turns them into an NFT, and he then sells the NFTs. So and he created one. He tries to find a market that people are kind of passionate about. And there's all these people, the spaghetti monster in the sky. Some people, it's like a god to some people. So he's generated spaghetti monster in the sky images, and he goes on Facebook and finds all their groups and tries to sell these NFTs. So there's so much stuff that comes out of this that you can do in so many creative ways. Very powerful.
Yeah, and I know that DALL-E's also, like you said, it's also OpenAI, right? So it's built on top of it.
Yeah.
And I have played a little bit with ChatGPT to ask it to create the text to put into DALL-E that will create something that I want to try and capture. That also works really well. I've tested that. Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, that's another one. Go try. If you go to OpenAI and you haven't tried ChatGPT, try it. But also, as David says, try the DALL-E image creator, because once you've created an account on OpenAI for ChatGPT, you also can use the DALL-E image creation capability. We just type text, as David described, and it'll create images.
Yeah, I've created a bunch. It's amazing what it can do, and the different styles and the different looks and the much more creative than I'm ever going to be. It's very useful.
Yes, it's interesting how it's impacting the creative world in a way that we didn't really foresee, I think. And I know that ChatGPT has passed medical exams without being specifically trained to do so. And it's passing bar lawyer exams as well without being specifically trained to do it, just through the way that it was trained up till now. That's pretty incredible. That there could be people being defended by AI in a court of law, or getting medical advice, or acting like, I think the really good way that it's being used right now is as a co-pilot for whatever it is you do in life. You just use it as a way to augment what you already know. That seems to be a solid way to start, but obviously beyond that, it's going to automate so much.
Doug, what do you think? How do we go to our clients and help our clients?
Well, I think you could just start talking about it. I think not talking about GPT is saying something. It is just everyone's talking about it, but with this sort of viral capability comes a lot of hype. So I think you just have to be careful. If you're going to bring it up in conversation, just be aware that everyone's talking about it and everyone wants to be seen as knowing ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I think most of us are in the same boat, which is kind of, flying by the seat of our pants, trying to work out how to use it and how it's going to impact our industry, our clients, our consultants. So I think just skill up yourself. If you haven't already, just keep learning, keep using it, keep skilling up, and you just may find ways that it could help your clients and yourself and your peers. And that's just the way to work it into conversations. Yeah, don't just bring it up as a hype thing.
Yeah, I think that very good idea, because you're right. Everyone wants to be on trend. But everything we do has data. Even if we're on a cloud migration, in the end, there's going to be some type of data, right? So what are we doing with that? How are we obtaining it? And how do we have the smartest data available? And I think asking those questions with our client's best interest in mind is a really good place to start.
Yeah, know the limitations too. I know nobody wants to talk about that, but that is really important to be responsible with this application. When you talk about it, you have to couch it with caution.
Are there any other questions or comments or ways that people have used it in an interesting manner? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. How are we doing? Look at that, 12:30, Doug, on the dot. Fantastic. Well, everyone definitely use Doug as a point of contact. I think we're just all really interested in not only how we're seeing it used, but by the possibility. So please get us all involved. I think it's really worthwhile. to share questions and knowledge on this. And thanks everyone for coming today. Yes, Matt, I know Doug's presentations are fantastic. Thanks everyone. Have a really wonderful Thursday, and thank you for participating. Thanks, Doug. We appreciate your knowledge.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.